Welcome back class 8 students. Today we are going to start chapter 5 of your computer textbook, which is Introduction to Visual Studio 2015. Learning outcomes. After you have studied this lesson, you will be able to get an idea of what Visual Basic 2015 is, start and add controls in Visual Basic form, create and execute a Visual Basic application. Introduction to Visual Basic 2015. Visual Basic is a high-level programming language evolved from the earlier DOS version called BASIC. The program codes in Visual Basic resemble the English language. It is visual and event-driven programming language. It was developed by Microsoft in May 1991. It is based on the BASIC language and provides a variety of tools to create user-friendly applications with graphical user interface. That is why it is called Visual Basic. Visual Basic creates event-driven applications which encourage higher user interaction through icons, menus, pointers, buttons, dialog boxes, etc. Starting Visual Basic Studio 2015. To open Visual Studio 2015, follow these steps. Step 1. Click on Start button and then All Apps. Step 2. Select Visual Studio 2015 from the list of apps and click on that. The Start page of Visual Studio 2015 appears. The Start page has options to create project or open an existing project. A project is a collection of files that make up an application. We can create various types of applications in Visual Studio. In this chapter, we will learn to create a Windows Forms applications. Follow these steps to create Windows Forms application. Step 1. Click on the new project in the Start page. The new project dialog box appears. Step 2. Under Install then Template, click Visual Basic. Step 3. Choose Windows Forms application in middle section of the dialog box. We may specify the name of the application in the name box or we may choose to save it later. In this image, you can see the interface for new project dialog box. Step 4. Click on OK button. The Visual Studio IDE appears. Components of Visual Studio 2015 IDE. The Visual Studio 2015 IDE consists of the following components. This is the interface of components of Visual Studio 2015. Title bar. The title bar is present at the top of the window and displays the name of the currently open project. By default, the first project is named as the Windows Application 1. Menu bar. Menu bar contains many menu items and submenus. These items give access to various options which will help in developing the application. Toolbar. Toolbar contains icons that give access to frequently used menu items. These icons act as shortcuts to the options available in the menu bar. Main window. The main window is the area where we work to create the application. We use this window to work with the forms and edit code. There are tabs on the top of the window for every open file. Form window. Form is an interface through which the user interacts with the application. A form contains many control elements such as labels, text boxes, command buttons, etc. Using these controls, a user can enter data and give instructions to the applications. The form windows provides us with the blank form where we can place various controls as per our requirements. Properties windows. The properties windows helps us to set the properties of the selected form or control at the design time. We can choose to display the properties category-wise or in alphabetic order. Solution Explorer. This window displays a list of forms and other objects that constitute the application. This list is organized in the form of branching structure like Windows Explorer. To open any object, we can double-click its icon in the Solution Explorer window. In these images, you can see a Properties window and a Solution Explorer interface. Toolbox. As the name suggests, the toolbox contains various tools that can be added to the forms by dragging and placing them at the desired location for creating an interface. These tools are referred to as controls in Visual Basic. Every form as well as control has its own set of properties, methods, and events. Property. A property refers to the characteristic of an object such as color and size. For example, the basic color property let us change the background color of an object. We can change the properties either at the time of designing or during the execution of an application. Method. A method is an action that can be performed on an object. For example, the show method is used to display the form and title method is used to hide the form from displaying. Form from displaying. We can call the methods at the time of execution of an application. Event. An event can be thought of as the occurrence of some user-generated action applied on an object. For example, click event is triggered when an object is clicked using a mouse. In this picture, you can see various controls in the toolbox. Did you know if the Toolbox Solution Explorer properties windows are hidden when you start Visual Basic 2015? You can click View on the menu bar and then select the required options. Adding controls to the form. To add a new control to the form, follow the given steps. Step 1. Click on the desired control in the toolbox and bring the pointer on the form. Step 2. The pointer will change to the cross-chair symbol. Move the pointer to the desired location and drag it to draw the selected control. Step 3. The control will be placed on the form. Step 4. We can change the size, shape and location of the control as per our requirement. Setting properties of controls. There are two ways to set the properties of a control. Design time, that is you can set the properties at the design time, which is when you are creating your project. Runtime, that is you can set the properties of the control at runtime, which is while the project is being executed. This can be done by programming. Design time. On selecting the control on the form, the properties window displays all the properties of the control. You can set or change the properties from there and changes will appear on the form. For example, if you want to change the default text button 1 of the button control, select it in the properties window. Select text and type the new text, say display. Now the new text will appear on the button control. Runtime. At runtime, the properties can be set by writing the code for it. For example, the syntax to change the text on a control is control name text equal to new text. In case of the button control, the VB statement will be button text display. The syntax to erase the text from a control is control name dot text. The syntax to disable the control is control name enabled is equals to false. Creating and executing a Visual Basic application. Now let us understand how to create and execute program in Visual Basic 2015. Suppose we wish to display the message on the form by clicking a button present on the form. The steps to create and execute this VB application are: Step 1. Add a button control to the form. Step 2. Select the form and make the following changes in the properties window. Change the text of the form to message. Notice that it appears on the top of the form. Change the background color of the form. Click the box and next to back color. Click the box next to back color. A drop-down menu arrow will appear. Click the arrow and select highlight. In these images, you can see text property of the form and back color property of the form. Step 3. Select the button control by clicking it and make the following changes in the properties window. Set the text properties to show message. Click the box next to font and then on the button with 3 dots. The font dialog box will appear. Set the font to Calibri, font style to bold and size to 10. Click OK. In these images, you can see text property of the button, font property of the button. Step 4. Double click on the show message button to bring up the code window and enter the following statement between private sub and end sub procedure as shown in figure. In this picture, you can see Visual Basic code. To execute a Visual Basic project, step 1. Click debug, then start debugging or press F5 or click the start button on toolbar. Step 2. A form titled message with a button labeled show message will appear on the screen. Step 3. Click the show message button. You get the following pop-up message box. In this image, you can see an output window and a message box of the program. Step 4. Click OK to return to the form. Commonly used controls in VB. The label control. The label control displays text that the user cannot change directly. Basically, labels such as text boxes and scroll bars do not have their own text property. The actual text displayed in a label is controlled by its text property. Some common properties of label control are properties text. This property is used to set the text on the label. Font. This property is used to specify and display font, style and size of the caption of the label. Name. This property is used to name the label control. VB identifies a label through the text given under the property. Alignment. This property is used to specify the alignment of labels. Caption alignment can be left justified. Property setting 1 left justify, right justify, 1 right justify, and centralized to center, and by default text is left justified. Back color. This property sets the background color of the label. Forecolor. This property sets the foreground color of the label. Auto size. This property helps to horizontally expand and adjust the size of its content. Border style. This property sets the border of the label as none, fixed 3D or fixed single. Text box control. Text boxes are versatile control that can be used to get the input from the user or to display text. Finally, the text box control is a simple text editor that provides all the basic text editing features. This includes you can insert and select text, you can scroll the text if it does not fit in its visible area. You can even exchange text with other applications through the clipboard. The common properties of text box control are text. It sets the text to be displayed in the text box when the project executes. By default, the text box control does not display any text. Back color. It sets the background color of the text box. Forecolor. It sets the foreground color of the text box. Font. It sets the font size and font style of the text box. Border style. It sets the border of the text box as none, fixed 3D or fixed single. Enabled. It sets the value as true or false. True means that the user can enter data in a text box, while false means that user cannot enter data in it. Button. A button is a control which, on clicking, exercise a programming code. The common properties of the button control are text. It sets the text that appears on the button. Back color. It sets the text color of the button. Forecolor. It sets the foreground color of the button. Font. It sets the font size and font style of the button. Border style. It sets the border of the button as none, fixed 3D or fixed single. Enabled. It sets the value as true or false. True means that the user can perform an action on clicking it, while false means that user cannot perform any action on the button. Message box. Message box is used to display a short message. It is a kind of a dialog box that pops up to display the text. It waits for the user to click the OK button to return to the application. For example, the statement message box in inverted commas and bracket, this is an important message, will display message box as shown in this image. Saving a Visual Basic project. The steps to save the Visual Basic project are as follows. Step 1. Click on the file and save project from the menu bar. Step 2. The save project as dialog box will appear. Choose the location where we want to save our form. Step 3. Enter the name for the form and click on save button. Opening an existing project. To open an existing file, follow the steps given below. Step 1. Click on file and then open project. Step 2. The open project dialog box will appear. Find the project and select it. Step 3. Click on open button. The selected project will open. Did you know? When we save a Visual Basic project, the project is saved with a .vbp extension and all the forms in it are saved with a .frm extension. Quick recap. Visual Basic is a high-level programming language evolved from the earlier DOS version called BASIC. The different elements of Visual Basic IDE are title bar, menu bar, toolbar, main windows, form windows, properties window, solution explorer, and toolbox. Toolbar contains icons that give access to the frequently used menu items. The properties window help us to select the properties of the selected form or control at the design time. A method is an action that can be performed on an object. A label control displays text that the user cannot change directly. Message box is used to display a short message. Moral learned. With support of hundreds of languages, VS Code helps you be instantly productive with syntax highlighting, bracket matching, auto indentation, box selection, snippets, and more. Intuitive keyboard shortcuts, easy customization, and community contributed keyboard shortcut mapping let you navigate your code with ease. Thank you, class. Let's meet again in the next chapter.